The anime starts with our protagonist getting some spicy action, a fucking face full of it, and it ends with... Let's start a little further back. Our main character Shinpei returns to his island hometown after leaving years back. He comes back to attend the funeral of his best friend Ushio, a bright, bubbly girl who died saving a little girl from drowning. Said little girl, who he sees at the funeral, looks suspiciously... well, weird as fuck. What's also weird is that there were strangle marks on her neck, which would point to some murderous conspiracy. His friend Sao points this out, as well as Ushio's little sister Mio, who also mentions that a few days before she passed, they saw her doppelganger or shadow, per the folklore the island has. Essentially, if you see your shadow, your doppelganger, they'll kill you and replace you. Scary shit, bro. However, Shinpei has really no time to ponder about any of this as he comes across the big titty woman from the ship. Just before she divulges any information, who's the shooter? Well, of course, it's Mio Shadow, who does exactly what you think she does. I was hooked after this episode. The hype was through the roof. And then I turned it off and never finished it. That was the spring of 2022, a season where the quality of media was just through the motherfucking roof. Okay, real talk, I really don't remember why I stopped watching this. It just kind of happened, and I really regret it because summertime rendering is fucking incredible. What this first episode conveys is the main selling point of the anime, and it is the mystery. Oh my god, the mystery. I think I predicted 3 plot twists, which might sound substantial for a one and done 25 episode anime, if not for the sheer quantity of them. Every episode has 3 climaxes, 15 different shifts in plot and mood and mind fuckery, and it never relents. It keeps going. I can almost guarantee that you will not be able to consistently predict the plot. It goes in some wild and creative ways while never failing to deliver. The execution of the mystery is incredible. It constantly drip feeds just enough information to set a foundation while withholding the most important parts to be revealed later. This is a show that rewards your attention. If you really put in the effort in noting details and inconsistencies, you'll be able to piece some things together. Shit that happens in one scene becomes relevant 6 episodes later. What happens in one loop directly influences another down the line. Yeah, I forgot to mention this, but after Shinpei dies in episode 1, he loops back in time to Miss Big Titties. And just trust me on this, dude dies a fuck ton. Each time getting just a bit more information, a bit more insight that allows him to discover just a bit more about the mysteries of the island. And yet, every death he experiences brings his save points closer and closer to the present, where if he dies for good. So many questions are introduced just in the first couple episodes. What is the flashlight at the funeral? What are the shadows? Who is Miss Tiggle Bitties? How can he time loop in the first place? If Ushio is dead, how did she appear on the ship to the island and also during the festival, literally after her funeral? There's so many unknown presents, and yet every single question is answered by the end. The villains in this series are what can only describe as nuts to butts terrifying. It's been a long time since I've been genuinely intimidated by an antagonistic force, but the shadows are scary, dog. They genuinely pose a threat, but only because our main characters. A lot of poorly written stories resort to writing their villains as these intelligent beings just for them to lose due to some dumbass contrived oversights. What about main characters who make us shout at our screens for how infuriating their decision making is? Here, in Summertime Rendering, both sides of the stories are very cunning. The intensity of the series comes from how smart the shadows are, which is only allowed because Shinpei is a smart ass motherfucker. This man has more than 2 brain cells, and it shows in his action. Honestly, he reacts to the crazy situations he's put in way better than I would, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Yet, he's only human. He panics at the situation at first, then calms down, then assesses it all. He isn't unfazed by the nut shit happening around him, he just has to look at it critically in order to fucking survive. I love the intensity in this show. It kept me at the edge of my seat the whole time. In fact, I was genuinely wondering at like episode 15, how the fuck does this have 10 more episodes? Because the situation the characters found themselves in was genuinely that fucking intense, and yet no bullshit was involved. It was all earned. Everything in this anime feels so earned. Not one plot point felt written in just for the sake of pushing narrative forward. Everything was written in such an intentional way that felt true to the characters and the world that was built. Very little plot convenience actually occurred, and I love the series for that. The anime can be very gruesome at times. Not every death Shinpei experiences is as quick as a gunshot. Sometimes he dies in the most painful way. Other horrific imagery exists that will send goosebumps down your spine. And I won't lie, I may or may not have jumped once or twice at a jump scare. While it can be a very horrific, dramatic thriller, the anime can have some very heartwarming moments. By the end, I was attached to all of the characters. Some of them may be presented in one way just for the series to flip the script and flesh them out completely. The character development in this series is impeccable. The production value is amazing. The animation is so smooth, the soundtrack elevates the intensity so much, and goddamn is that opening good as fuck. Summertime Rendering took this interesting premise and elevated it to the maximum, expanding and stretching every bit of quality it had, building and building all the way until the end credits, where you sit and think, damn, that shit was special. And yeah, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.